Welcome back. Now to a follow-up of the Banda Homes controversy that we have covered for the last several days. Disagreements between the company and the investors have brought to the fore critical issues that could affect such housing schemes going forward. Well, tonight in our special report, Nimrod Taabu takes a closer look at the deal that looked too good to be true and ended up with heartache and controversy.
Banda is here. Banda is ready.
As you can see, Banda makes it happen.
When Banda Homes Limited began operations in 2018, many middle-class citizens, especially here in Nairobi, made a dash for the allure to own a home. After hearing and watching advertisements on radio and TV, many were convinced that this was a sweet deal. With Banda Homes promising to build 1,500 housing units in different locations, everyone wanted a piece of the deal. The requirements were simple: pay a deposit of 1.5 million shillings and a monthly installments of up to 250,000 shillings and become a homeowner in less than 15 months.
I invested in this project by Nudwan 2018, and it was to be completed in a year's time.
I bought a house through Banda Homes in 2018.
Our first payments were in early 2018.
The estates where these houses would be built included Pinewood, White Oak, Maple Ridge, Mashariki Court, Redwood, Rosewood, Olive, Red Oak, among others. Some were to be divided into two phases. Oak Park was the first one to be completed, and this marked the beginning of a mad rush by Kenyans to sign up for the remaining projects. This is Maple Ridge Estate, situated in Kikuyu in Kiambu County, off the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. A convoy of cars is heading to the estate. The estate is tucked inside a little area called Zambezi. These are the investors of the estate. Their mission is to inspect the progress of their houses. Inside the compound, housing units at different stages of construction. The ones at the entrance appear to be at an advanced stage. The houses only require interior fittings and they could be ready for occupation. This is what enticed this group of investors. They assume that after signing agreements with Banda Homes, their homes will be completed within 1 year, just like the first lot.
Jinsi unavyotizama nyuma yangu, bado tuko kwenye slab. Nililipa pesa zote jinsi ilivyostahili, na la kutamausha ni kwamba nilikuwa nimechukua loan milioni 4, nikawa nimewekeza pale kwa kutumaini kwamba nitapata nyumba. Lakini kwa muda huu wote tumekuwa tukipelekwa in circles tu, and it has never happened. It is so disappointing. It was a good idea, but it is so disappointing.
Olive Ngugi invested in this project because the deal was too good to let go. That was in 2018.
Yep. I opted to invest in this because it's near where I stay, and the deal was good because they were selling 3-bedroom bungalows for 4.5 million, which was quite affordable at the time.
This is the state of her housing unit 2 years on. She is a disappointed investor.
I'm actually a construction manager, so I deal with construction a lot. So I come here a lot, but you won't see any movement. Like you will see maybe a few workers, like you've seen on the upper section, a few workers working. But if you're dealing with a project with 122 houses, you really need to have the workforce. Plus, I don't think it's about a corona issue or a COVID issue for him not to be working.
Olive is one of the many who claim to have completed payment. Others say they have paid up to a minimum of 70% needed for the houses to be completed to a basic finish. Many have since stopped paying their installments, arguing that Banda has failed to deliver on its promise.
It's complicated. I wasn't so keen on making further payments because that was the condition. I wanted to withdraw my investment, so that has been very difficult.
Some have their units at the slab level. Others can see a few walls of their units coming up. Yet others, like this one, cannot figure out the stage at which their houses are.
I paid 3 million, so I was having a balance of 2 million. I refused to make further payments until I would see some visible progress on the project. And the developer insisted that
he cannot continue building without money. Then I also said, and most of us actually, insist that we cannot make further payment without seeing visible project.
Evans Njeru says he cleared his balances as required by Banda, but to his surprise, his unit is still a shell. He says from mid last year there has been no progress on the unit.
A number of buyers have paid to the tune of 3 million, 3.5, 4.5 million, and every time we request Banda on completion timelines, they always say, if you have a balance of 500,000, can you complete that balance before we can finish your houses? The question begs, if I have paid 3.5 million and I have a balance of 1 million, or I have paid 4.2 million and I have a balance of 300,000, and Banda tells me before they can put a single stone course on my house, I need to clear the balance of 200,000. Where did 4.3 million go that my house is at a slab level? That is why buyers actually stopped paying for their installments, because there was no commitment on the progress on site as far as Banda was concerned.
Njeru says the relationship between Banda and disgruntled investors has been frosty. They were forced to form a committee to chart the way forward, but every effort to reach the Banda management has resulted in a stalemate.
We've been to Banda offices and we've held quite a number of meetings with the directors and the management of Banda. And I am in the committee that spearheads the follow-up of completion of this Maple Ridge estate. And I must say, the first meeting that we held at Banda offices, the directors and the staff were very, very hostile and rude to us.
Their biggest concern has been the demand by Banda that they all complete their balances before work can resume.
We have seen innocent Kenyans visiting Maple Ridge estate, and when you ask them, what are you doing here? They say, we have been told there are houses that are being sold at Maple Ridge. How comes Banda Homes, they are selling Maple Ridge estates when they sold it out 2018, 2 years ago?
At the site, we find a handful of men working on some of the foundation works. All we spoke to here say they are new here. Some of the investors who did not want to be identified displayed to us statements of full payments made to Banda. Some have sought a mutual agreement to revoke the agreements and get their money back, but that seems to be a daunting task.
So you can see different stages. The machinates, they haven't started.
From Maple Ridge in Zambezi, we proceeded to Redwood, another project being undertaken by Banda Homes. The estate is located along Kenyatta Road in Gatundu constituency. At the site, little is going on. A handful of men are working on one unit. But it is difficult to tell whether or not they will move on to the rest.
And they actually said this is where...
Charles Ndegwa, an investor, says he is yet to identify his unit. He shows us diagrams on a piece of paper, but this is all he has to show for it. He says this thicket that is yet to be cleared is the site of his housing unit. He has paid 3.5 million shillings, he says, and has a balance of slightly more than 3 million shillings.
So they were selling the machinates for about 6.99 million, which was fairly good if you think about the cost of buying land now and putting up a machinate. So it seemed like it was going to be a fair deal. And then they had convinced us that how they're doing it, because they're doing it in bulk, they're going to use the economies of scale to actually deliver homes cheaply to people, as opposed to other people who are probably more expensive.
We asked him whether he had communicated with the management of Banda.
Initially, when we went there, they had given a timeline of, in fact, specifically, they had told me within about 6 months, we're going to see progress on what they have been able to do. And then 6 months passed and nothing has happened. And then when you go back there, then they have this story about a dispute about land, and therefore some units are no longer allocated to Redwood Estate, so they'd have to start moving them to other estates as well. So that's kind of like been the story. So it's just a matter of you follow up, and then you just defer to the next time, after 6 months, 3 months or whatever.
Our second day takes us to Olive Estate, where a group of investors is also agitating for their rights. the delivery of their new homes.
So why are you playing with our money? We need to go away.
They include men and women who say they either took bank loans or used their savings to secure a deal with Banda Homes, the promise being their houses would be completed within a short period of time.
I've fully paid for my unit, 5.75 million. But when you look at the ground, my house has not even been started. I've not even been shown the location, the actual location. But when you ask the same in through Banda provided groups, they block you. Some of them eject you. In other stations, they even threaten you by calling you and telling you to stop doing all that, whatever you are posting.
For those who had paid a bigger percentage of the balance, their houses appear to have made some progress, while others are astonished to note that their houses have not moved an inch.
He's going to do other projects, complete them with my money, while he is not making progress. Of the 3 million that I have paid, don't tell me it's just slab.
Shortly after 12 p.m. and the management of Banda Homes makes its way into the site.
Yes, I've met
An impromptu visit by the director Andrew Kamau and Chief Executive Officer Fabian Zivo.
Well, Caroline Gekandi there is fully paid. This mzee has been unable to pay.
Has been unable to do what?
To pay. Even, listen, let me finish.
No, wait a minute.
According to Kamau, most of these investors here had not paid a substantial amount of money to allow for the continuation of the project, a statement the investors promptly refute.
Do you know why he's in phase 2? Because the people who finished paying first are in phase 1.
Not really. Not really. I finished before
listen,
even
when did you finish?
I finished January before the contract expired.
These people finished before end of last year.
Most of them are here. Ask them.
We are here.
Are you in 1A?
Yes.
Thank you. This gentleman can show you where his house is. In 1A. It is not finished, but it is in the process, right? The other people who finished later are in phase 1D. You get it? We cannot be able to raise 100 houses all at the same time one day.
Many of the investors insist that they stopped payment when they realized nothing was moving on the ground for several months.
So it means you can finish his house and still...
No. We refund the money after the house has been resolved. That is what the contract says. And we have no issue with that.
The Banda team leaves, instructing the investors instead to study their contracts well, insisting the allegations leveled against the company have no basis.
He is not putting the money I have given him into my unit. Those are the problems. Money is in the bank. I have already told him that. And I have already transferred my money from my accounts overseas. And the money is here. And against my advisor and my lawyer, I'm not going to throw good money into additional bad money so that I'll be totally out of money. And there is no guarantee that I'll get the unit.
According to Kamau, only 5% of the agreements signed with investors had a delivery date.
No one has been coerced to sign any agreement. The reason why our agreements do not have any end date is because we want to accommodate the person who also has been late in making payments. Somebody will buy a house at a discount because they have cash, right? Another person will buy maybe at the right purchase price because they're paying in installment. Somebody will be able to make all their payments, monthly payments, without getting late. Another person in the same estate will delay for 2, 3, 4 months. We have even cases where guys have written us letters from their lawyers, please give me 6 more months. The question is, because we are, on top of being in business, we are also human. Do we throw this person out? No. Can we give the benefit of doubt? Yes. Can we wait for them to be able to raise that money? Yes. And we have done that for not even 1, 2. We are talking about 50%.
But many disagree.
Labda mwenye banda aje aseme waziwazi kwamba atakamilisha na anakamilisha lini.
These houses are now 2 years down the line. As you can see on site, there is no single unit that is habitable in this place. There is no infrastructure, there is no power, there is no sewer. The houses are incomplete.
Evelyn Gitonga's agreement, for instance, clearly states that the construction is projected at 12 months from May 2018. Evelyn made her first installment in May 2018 and completed her payment in January 2020. But her house is yet to be completed. But Kamau insists that many of the investors have misread their agreements, arguing that off-plan arrangements are fully funded by the buyer.
The amounts of money that these people owe us are about 45 to 50%, 55% or 60% of the total value of the project, right? So, and as I said when I was starting, these projects are financed by the buyer, right? The issue is not getting started. When somebody says they will not pay, we understand that maybe their particular unit has not moved at the pace they would have expected. But as a developer, we do not just look at one particular unit. We look at a whole project.
Kamau is now relying on a clause in the agreement that says the developer shall not be liable in case of any delays.
What I want them to understand is that you will not occupy this estate like Pinewood where we are. These are 96 units. You will not occupy this house alone, right? You will have sometimes to wait for your neighbor to complete paying. So that both of you, all of you can move in together. Security reasons, service charge. You'll not be able to take care of the whole estate for service charge all alone, right? And again, this is a gated community. There is that issue of, being a community. You will need this neighbor. You will be with this neighbor for 50 years, for example, right? So let's also try to be patient. This person, tumekuja naye pamoja, we are together. That is why we have made this estate a success.
Banda Homes has now agreed to refund some of the monies, but the terms have brought about a new contention between the two parties.
You are maybe, where you had chosen your plot was farther away from phase one, and you have completed making payments, right? There is somebody who is in phase one who has not completed their payments, so we swap them. The person who finished paying moves with the house number up here.
The swap itself, for those who don't understand, is it amicable or is it something that you do?
It is very amicable, very amicable. We've come to the realization that we do not need to have house following orders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can have house number 147, 82, move with your house number to avoid a lot of paperwork, right? Remember, the house number, say 82, is not what will come out in the title deed.
Waweru Ndungu, for instance, has been expecting his refund since April after revoking his agreement in January this year. But he has now been asked to wait until August, the company citing the disruption caused by COVID-19. Banda says his house has to be resold fast before the money can be paid back.
Actually, they are intimidating people with balances of only 200,000, 300,000 with revocations and selling their houses. And it's so frustrating. It's so disappointing.
We are all born different, right? I may not be able to put a smile every day, right? I try my best. And where I fall short, my team comes in handy to do what they can do best to cover for that.
The disagreements between Banda and a few of its investors has brought to the fore some of the glaring mistakes made by parties in such deals. It is now emerging that many investors rush to sign agreements without fully understanding the nature of the deal and the project itself.
Let's be very honest and, very fair to each other, clients and ourselves. Oak Park was handed over in March of 2019. Up to date, there are about 30 people who have never occupied their house, right? We had a 6-month liability period, which is now lapsed long ago. But you see, Nimrod, you left your house open, the windows open, a lot of dust. And then 1 year down the line, you want me to come and repaint that house, right? Let's be fair. If we handed over, it is your work, it is your duty, take care of your house, proceed. The works at Oak Park, and I can put this on record, the works we did at Oak Park were excellent, right? They were excellent for 3.75 million. The works at Oak Park were excellent. Those houses right now, if you were there yesterday, are being resold for 6.5 million, 7 million shillings. We resold our houses there, the last 2 units we had there, for 7.25 million less than a month ago.
This has occurred now. We have contracts for last year, as you say, when it wasn't there. Not unless now they come up with a different reason or the many other aspects that I've given you, then they can't use COVID-19 now. COVID-19 will only apply for contracts that are running during this particular period of time.
While the design of the houses might be clear, the investors are often not aware of the materials that will be used, leading to disagreements when the project is complete and is handed over to them. According to Gachie, involving someone with legal knowledge is extremely important.
The developers will always say very good words that would entice Kenyans. And you know, not just Kenyans, but ideally a person who wants to buy property is a person who is a bit gullible. And when you're being told that this property will be offered at a very cheap price, there is that allure of rushing to want to take it. Now, the problem we have is that most of these developers come with some standard contracts already drawn that favors the developer.
While developers encourage investors to buy property at cheaper prices, experts say investors must ensure they carry out due diligence about the nature of the farms and their previous projects, and not just to rely on media messages by developers.
You can go to court to either enforce the contract, which we call specific performance, to say, this is what you promised, I want you to deliver as you promised. If the buyer, on the other hand, is certain that these people are incapable of delivering, then there's no need of going to court for specific performance. What you do is to declare the contract as breached by the other side. And the moment you consider them as having breached, now you go and seek for your recovery of your money.
And some of these challenges have been maybe from having a very large workforce, right? Such that, salespeople, independent salespeople, wanting to close their sale will come and tell you ABCD. But even after you're told that, you still come to the office and we give you the right information and we write and we sign the contract. Yes.
But such deals have also put developers in a fix, leading to huge losses. Many of them assume that investors will pay in good time and therefore put a huge capital outlay to buy materials, only for the projects to stall, leading to massive wastage.
Our agreements are very clear that if we give you a 21-day notice and we are not able to, make good your agreement on contract, that we will go ahead and repossess that house. And we refund you your money, and we have refunded about 30-40 people. We refund you your money less 10% of the purchase price, that is damages or whatever, and the cost, the legal cost. The legal cost might include the letter sent to you, the cost of making the agreement and the signing, right? And we make sure, there are people we have refunded without having to resell their houses.
We are considering as a group the way forward. I think members will decide at what point to move forward.
We're still looking to go to a court for us to be able to get judgment on this situation, because right now I don't think there's nothing much we can do. So that we are not even asking even for the money, we want for the project to be completed so that we get into the project, because we've already invested into the project.
Many developers are also on the spot for rushing into huge projects without the necessary financial backup in case of default or delay by investors.
Some of the things I have heard from the media, and here we are here sitting with my team and asking ourselves, were these issues ever raised to us? Were these concerns ever brought to us? Of course, some were brought, but some we have heard them for the first time in the media. But with a surety that wherever we have fallen short, we will rectify.
Housing is a major issue in Kenya, with many government policies targeting the sector. A majority of Kenyans desire to own their own homes, but with recent squabbles involving housing schemes, experts are now warning potential investors and developers to look before they leap. Nimrod Taabu, Citizen TV.